When you bring your wounds to work, you are going to be inflicting poor behavior on your team members. And this is also a warning call for anyone who is stepping into leadership. You have got to work on yourself.
Women also get traumatized because they don't know if they should speak up, or if they are speaking up. Are they speaking up with the right tone, in the right place? Are they going to be slapped for it? Will they pay for it later? Is it better just to keep quiet? And if you can't think, say nothing. Nothing is better.
Why don't we talk to our boss when things like this are happening?
Enough already! You've worked harder, stayed later, smiled through it, you've shrunk yourself, you've overexplained yourself, you've apologized for yourself, and still walked away feeling like you were the problem. You weren't. You've been playing by rules that were never designed for you, and you're exhausted. You're done. I'm Coach Mo Fall, and this is Enough Already, the podcast for women who are done performing and ready to heal, reclaim, and redefine what their life actually gets to look like when you step into your real power. No more shrinking, no more trying to be less or more, or whatever they need you to be. We're going to name exactly what happened, get free from it, and figure out what comes next. This is your space. This is your moment. Women, we are rising. Let's get into it.
Hey everyone, another episode of Enough Already. We want to make sure women know how to win in the workplace because you know what? It's not a place where we were raised to succeed and win. So Coach Stacey is with me today. We are going to talk about a topic that affects our clients a lot, and it's pretty pervasive. There's a trauma pattern that exists in our emotional world when we have situations that demean us, diminish us, marginalize, and basically language and emotions and tactics that are putting women in our place. And if these happen often enough, we develop what is called a trauma pattern, meaning a deeply seated, perpetual nervous system response to a particular activation. And I used to have this. I had a particular boss who looked at me a certain way, like quizzically, puzzled, and also like, what are you doing in front of me? And I was interpreting that look because I'm sure I had it many other times where I was diminished after I saw that look. So subconsciously, I had patterned myself that every time I see that look, I'm about to get diminished. So when we have that go on, we have a subconscious threat response, which is our stress response trying to protect us from dying. And it kicks in and it makes our brain shut half down. And over time, it helps us not feel good about ourselves. And Stacey and I have both coached professional women for years and years on overcoming this pattern and also getting it out of the way for promotions, advancements, up-leveling their current role. I want to invite Coach Stacey in to talk about this topic with me. Stacey, we've seen job trauma a lot, and this is something I've experienced personally in my career. Nearly every woman we coach has some type of job trauma, whether it's a job loss or being treated poorly time and time again. What are some of the scenarios that you've seen our clients get into that cause this trauma pattern for them?
I've seen women with a lot of trauma over the years, job trauma, and also, personal trauma because it bleeds over. Sometimes it's around, I have two clients where their bosses went on maternity leave and they had to step into the boss's role. And of course, they did a kick-ass job and everything was on track. And boss comes back where they think this is going to be great. And the boss is insecure about it. Of course, not showing it right away. And then the small things start to happen. Maybe the microaggressions slowly start to creep in. And in one case, the client eventually lost her job over this. And another one is still in it. Like the boss marginalizes her, takes things away from her, takes her out of the spotlight because the boss heard all this positive instead of leaning into the positive and utilizing, in this case, the clients to up-level everything on the team. they get fearful of that or defensive of that. So there's that job trauma. I have another client who started a new job, and within like 2 months, she lost this job. And now she's playing it over and over and over again in her head. But the reality is the company just had a downsize. She was one of the newer people. I don't think, honestly, they knew that was coming themselves, because no one wants to bring people on, take the time to train them, get them to start knowing the culture and let them in.
Even though there's this objective scenario happening, a human being is going to naturally try to figure out what they did wrong or what they could have done better to avoid that happening. Even though there's none of that, but the person, as a human, we overinterpret situations and take in an emotional intensity that sometimes is not there. And so as these women are in these scenarios, and leaders, we're going to be speaking to you also, because this is an issue that you can't bring your wounds to work. When you bring your wounds to work, you are going to be inflicting poor behavior on your team members. And this is also a warning call for anyone who is stepping into leadership. You have got to work on yourself. You bring your wounds, you're going to impact people. And I think the recent Gallup survey showed that 78% of job turnover is because of the manager.
I can believe that. Women also get traumatized because they don't know if they should speak up, or if they are speaking up, are they speaking up with the right tone in the right place? Are they going to be slapped for it? Will they pay for it later? Is it better just to keep quiet? I mean, that happens every day.
We're going to talk more in detail in this episode about what the patterns are and how to identify them. It's easier for us as human beings to understand what's going on rather than to internalize and personalize this. And as a little asterisk here, if you're having real mental health issues and this sounds like something you need greater help with, please do consult your physician or mental health professional to help you deal with it at a deeper level. In episode 2 of our job trauma series, Stacey and I are going to talk about how to release the patterns and how to navigate differently, because you don't want to bring your patterns to your next job. You don't want to bring your patterns back to your family. You don't want to bring your patterns into every meeting. So we're going to talk about what these patterns really are and how to shortchange them while they're happening so you don't get caught in this trap. So, Stacey, we always coach our clients to take a beat before they start over-interpreting. And let's go back to one of these scenarios that you mentioned where one of our clients took over for her boss when she went on maternity leave, and things got too rocky afterwards. Let's do like an autopsy on that. And then let's talk about maybe some of the coaching that we give in those scenarios. So you want to break down the specifics of what actually was going on with that scenario.
The client, for example, was, while the boss was on maternity leave, in leadership meetings. When the boss came back, she was taken off those meetings. And not only that, when she would meet one-on-one with her boss would not update her on those meetings. Now, on one hand, the boss is trying to insert herself back in. So don't think that person doesn't have trauma too. She has her own insecurities.
Trying to rebuild herself after her maternity leave.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So you have two people, one doing a great job, getting recognition, another who did a good job before, got recognition, but now someone is shining her up. Or so she's interpreting it at being shined up. So her defense mechanism. So this is really a two-way street in this scenario. And the key to this is communication. I know you said we're going to talk about that in episode 2. But I view one of the scenarios with one of the clients, it started out poor, insecurities were flying, and it just got worse from there. So being kept off emails that the person was already in the loop on, or things were getting to the finish line, showing up. Part of the responsibilities, I'm going to use the word trade shows, but it really wasn't a trade show, like conferences where they were, their company had a presence and the client was going and was knocking it out of the park. So person comes back, she's now scheduled to go to the next one, and she's not going to the next one. Right. And there was no explanation. There was no communication. So that situation could have totally been handled differently. The key to that is communication. It doesn't mean the client could have changed the way the boss was looking at it, but maybe she would have felt better rather than saying nothing along the way and then stewing and then getting more upset.
And what happens in those situations, number one, we have two individual people with some insecurities, some wounds, and wanting to show their best selves. And now one was usurped as the other one came back. And we have a real psychological clash here. Why don't we talk to our boss when things like this are happening? And I would say it's twofold. And you and I both coach advanced communication techniques, so we're very comfortable with these types of techniques and tactics. But a lot of people aren't, because we've been in our career 30 plus years, each of us, and took the time to learn things. So when you're dealing with a boss with unspoken change of expectations and job roles, you have to assume a position of curiosity. You cannot assume the position of defensiveness. And that may take you taking some deep breaths, checking the facts rather than assuming things, and being curious. Hey, boss, while you were on maternity leave, I was involved in this, and this. I'm curious. What would you consider to be my role on a go forward? Not playing victim of saying, you kept me out of this, you kept me out of this, you took me off that email loop. Stay neutral and curious. Stacey, what are some other communication techniques?
That what I find to be successful in working with clients is role playing. They don't have the techniques. They freeze.
Yes.
And they don't know what to say next. For example, we coach women on creating boundaries at work. That is one of the pieces of success, is creating boundaries. I have a client that actually did that. And then she told me what the boundaries were. I said to her, you created the boundaries, but you forgot to clue your boss in on the boundaries. And you just started saying you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't do this. She lost her job without having an open communication about her boss. Hey, I'm so excited you gave me that new project. But now taking that on, I have this and this. What's more important right now? Like you and I know, Mo, we teach the words what and how, okay? What and how, forget the whys. That simple sentence to her boss would have clued her boss in that she's, number one, prioritizing, that she doesn't have enough hours in the day to fulfill everything. Now we got another trauma pattern because she set boundaries and she lost her job. So what I really like doing is role playing, because it helps the client get access to responses rather than going cold in that time period, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And something's occurring to me right now. You and I did an episode a few months back about not having your partner or your friends or your family give you work advice. And I am just imagining someone talking to their best friend about this boss scenario, and the best friend feeling like an advocate and saying, you just need to go in there and tell her how it is. You just need to go in there and set her straight. So there is so much secondhand toxicity that can be given to you, listener, if you are relying on an unskilled friend, partner, relative, even especially coworker, don't go to a coworker with a boss issue.
Yeah,
Do not.
we had another episode on that. I know, I don't know if you remember that, but we did. No one is your friend. We'll stick by that. Yeah. So not getting advice, not getting coached, and being able to think in the minute. And if you can't think, say nothing. Nothing is better. I'll get back to you. Thanks for giving me that project. Let me see how I can map that out in the rest of my duties. Like, buy yourself time.
I'm right. And all of that is in the curiosity and helpfulness category, where we're not pretending, but it is a strategy. So in order to navigate uncertain waters, you have to stay curious and you have to stay helpful. It doesn't mean you're committing to anything. You're asking for clarity in a non-victim, non-martyr stance. And you are talking about role-playing with us as coaches. And I'm going to put a little commercial in here because this is exactly the kind of work that I developed Coach Mobi for. We all are calling her she was built to be available in the minute, not after you walked out of the meeting and you're doing your brief in your car, before, the night before, the morning of, so that you can say, hey, Mobi, I have a conversation with my boss who just came back from maternity leave. And over the past 2 months, she's been taking me out of meetings, taking me off email threads. I want to talk to her. What should I say? And Mobi is going to give you the exact coaching that we just gave you now, so that you can be armed and ready when you're figuring it out with your emotions riding high, when you're figuring it out while you're spiraling. You're not going to come up with the best words. And Mobi will ask you further questions. She'll sit with you through the clarity trifecta, which is the language, which is the body language, the verbal language, and a real script. Every tool that I've used in real coaching sessions is programmed into the knowledge base of Mobi, and your relationship with her is one-on-one and confidential, sitting on the Telegram app. So you don't have to wait for your coaching session, or you don't have to spend thousands of dollars getting coaching. That's what it takes to get into private coaching with us. But you're going to have the ability to query the knowledge base of hundreds of hours of my coaching and my soul-powered methodologies, including being able to update resume, LinkedIn sections, etc. The link is in the show notes below. But seriously, before your next big conversation, Coach Mobi will help you change everything and ask those clarifying questions instead of assuming. So we also want to talk, Stacey, about pausing. We want to talk about pausing before you say anything. Let's talk strategy about that. What are the best ways that women can take a beat, say something so that they're engaged, and then take time to peel back and enter that conversation later when they're more composed?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Let me think on that. And I can get back to you tomorrow. Great thoughts. I hadn't thought about that. Let me see how that works into the plan, and I'll get back to you in a couple days. Wow, thanks for contributing. I'm going to really see if I can incorporate that. And then I'm going to come back to the group and talk about it as a whole. I just named you 3, and it can go on. Buying yourself time.
And the other strategy on top of that is you sometimes want that person to talk more so that you can find out more. And the best way to do that is to rephrase/repeat their last 3 to 5 words as a question. And Stacey, let's do some role playing here. I'm going to say something and I want you to do the mirror reflection. So Stacey, we've got this big project that my boss just handed down. It was going to be next month, but he wants us to get it all kicked out this week. So I really need you to get the team mobilized on this new project.
New project, and get it out this week. Tell me more details on that.
He's just getting it from down on high that this is going to be the thing that's going to really change some numbers for us. The quarter's not looking good. The month isn't looking good. And everyone's feeling like their hair's on fire. I'm really going to need your team to buckle down. We created the operating system of that, but we thought it was going to be a month from now. It's got to be done this week.
The quarter's not looking good, and the month to date either.
No, we are underwater right now.
Underwater.
Yeah. And they're hoping that this project is what pulls us forward in a way that what we've been doing has not been happening. So I'm really going to need your team to buckle down, even if it means overtime, working late nights. I want to show that I can get my team mobilized. So I'm really counting on you to dig in and get that project complete this week.
You can count on me, Ma. Let's talk more in our next session on how we can get that done.
Okay, sounds good. So that's some role playing where Stacey was doing the mirroring and asking by reflecting on the last, few words that I was saying. It almost forces the person to keep talking. And it is a top communication strategy. Try it with your loved ones, family, and partner as well. It's not a parlor trick, but it's a really great way for you to be interested. Demonstrate it verbally in body language, because when you ask that question, you're likely to be leaning in. Stacey, I did notice that your body position leaned in a little bit, because that's a natural inclination of when you do that. So you're giving all the signals that you're engaged and you're listening. And at the same time, you have just asked that person, not as a demand, to talk more about it, so that you're getting greater detail, greater dimension, and they are leading the conversation. So that packages them in the right position for you to then be receiving information. And then you can keep doing it. Stacey, I think, did it 4 or 5 times. So I kept revealing more information. So now if you are going back to your team, you might say to your team, look, my boss and her boss have asked us to rally the troops and get that project that we're going to do next month on the table and going this week. Look, team, I know it's going to take a lot. It's going to be a heroic effort. Let's sort out what you've got on your plate right now. I really think it's time for us to show our boss that we really care, and we're going to dig in and we're going to make it happen. So let's talk through all the details and know that this is a priority for all the higher ups up the chain. And I really want to rally to show who we are in this unit. So I'm taking information from that reveal and using it to motivate my team. And that's sometimes what you need, because if you go to your team and say, the boss says, you're not looking very empowered. And then you're going to be the one giving job trauma to your team. So we have to remember that everything we do has to have good context in order for people to come and rally with us. And if you're afraid, if you're having a job trauma response or a chronic stress response that has hung up your nervous system, you're not going to be able to function this way. You're not going to come up with that communication strategy in the moment. And you're then going to have a passive aggressive attitude towards your team. Likely scenario, chronically stressed, job trauma, feeling insecure, not knowing your place with your boss. All of these things lead to dysfunctional action on your part. Even if you're really smart and know exactly what you're doing, the emotional componentry will get off track if you're still in a job trauma pattern, or if you are afraid of retribution or something and you're not communicating well. Stacey, I want to put the episode 2, so the next episode, I want to put that into a few more strategies for maneuvering this job trauma. And also, let's describe really deeper how it can prevent women from moving up the ladder. Ladies, I hope you are hearing what we are saying on this job trauma enough already, women winning. We want you to understand that having emotional trauma in the workplace is not unusual. And it doesn't mean that you're wrong or wounded or hurt or broken. It means you've got something to take care of. This is Coach Mo. I'm here with our executive Coach Stacey. And we are going to be back at this topic on the next episode of Enough Already. Link below for our Coach Mobi, where you can have in-the-moment coaching. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, Stacey.
If today's episode hit home, share it with a woman who needs to hear it. Because the best thing we can do is make sure no woman sits alone in an experience that has a name. You've been listening to Enough Already. I'm Coach Mo Fall. Please subscribe and like and comment so this can be sent to more women just like you who needs to hear there is a different way. Take good care.